I used to think my hair was fine. Not great, just fine, and I told myself that was enough. Then a photo from a family dinner showed me exactly what everyone else had been seeing for years. Today we're going through 5 hairstyles that quietly age women past their real years, and exactly what to replace each one with so your hair starts working for you instead of against you. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The helmet bob that's sealing you off. Here's something nobody tells you about the classic short, rounded bob so many women fall back on after 50. The tighter and rounder it sits, the older it reads, even on a face with barely a wrinkle. It's not the length, it's the shape. A rounded, uniform bob sits like a helmet, and helmets read as rigid, dated, and years older than the face underneath them. You know the one. Same length all the way around, same rounded edge skimming the jaw, set every week so it holds its shape until the next appointment. It photographs like an old formal portrait, stiff and posed, even when you're just standing in your kitchen. The recognition part is the hard one. Most women don't choose the rounded bob because they love it. They choose it because it's low maintenance and it was safe a decade ago. But hair that was safe at 45 reads as dated at 65, and the shape hasn't caught up with the rest of your style. The fix is a soft texturized bob with a slight length gradient, shorter pieces near the crown, longer pieces trailing toward the jaw and chin, cut with a razor or point cutting technique instead of a blunt shear line. That gradient is the whole trick. It breaks the helmet silhouette and lets light move through the ends instead of bouncing off one flat plane. Ask your stylist specifically for internal layering with a soft, disconnected perimeter. That phrase matters. A lot of stylists hear bob and default to the same rounded shape unless you specifically request the layering that breaks it up. The internal layers add movement at the crown, which is where volume actually reads as youthful. The disconnected perimeter means the ends don't all land in one hard line. Some pieces fall a touch shorter, some a touch longer, and that irregularity is what makes hair look alive instead of set. Here's the part that actually changes how people read you. Once that gradient is in, the eye stops seeing haircut and starts seeing face. A helmet bob draws attention to its own outline. A texturized, layered bob draws attention upward, toward your eyes and cheekbones, because the movement at the crown lifts everything visually. People start commenting on your skin, your eyes, your energy, not your hair, because the hair is finally framing you instead of competing with you. There's a maintenance shift too, and it's a relief, not a burden. A rounded bob demands weekly resets to hold its exact shape, because any growth immediately throws off the one flat line it depends on. A layered, gradient bob grows out gracefully. The layers shift naturally as length changes, so you can stretch appointments longer without the shape collapsing into something shapeless. I had a client, mid-60s, sharp dresser, always put together, who'd worn the same rounded bob for probably 15 years because it was her look. We shifted her into the layered gradient version, same base length, and she told me 2 weeks later that a former coworker stopped her at the grocery store and asked if she'd done something to look so rested. Nothing else had changed. Same skincare, same makeup, same clothes. Just the shape of the cut. Before, a rounded, blunt bob set into one rigid helmet shape at the jaw, sitting stiff and flat at the crown. After, a soft, texturized bob with internal layering and a disconnected perimeter, movement lifted at the crown, ends falling irregularly instead of in one hard line. And that's just the first shape working against you. The second one is even more common, and it's usually hiding in plain sight, because it looks safe, too. Part 2. The overprocessed perm curl nobody updated. This one surprises people every time I bring it up. A tight, uniform perm curl doesn't just look dated, it can visually add texture-related age to hair that would otherwise read soft and healthy. The curl pattern itself becomes a timestamp, because tight, springy perm curls were a specific look from a specific decade, and once that decade passes, the curl reads as held onto rather than chosen. If this is you, you probably know exactly what I'm describing. Small, tight curls, uniform in size, sitting close to the head, refreshed every few months so the pattern never really relaxes. It's not that curls are the problem. Curls are beautiful at any age. It's that this specific tight, uniform pattern is the problem. The recognition here is quiet, but real. A lot of women keep this pattern because it's familiar. It's what done hair has meant to them for 30 years. Letting it go can feel like giving something up, even when the mirror is telling a different story. The fix isn't cutting the curl out. It's loosening the pattern into a soft, looser wave using a digital perm or a body wave technique, combined with longer layers that let gravity pull the curl down instead of letting it spring tight against the scalp. The looser wave moves with your head instead of sitting rigid on top of it, and that movement is what reads as current. Ask specifically for a body wave or loose S pattern, rather than a traditional perm rod set. The rod size and wrap technique are completely different, and a stylist using a standard tight curl rod will give you the same dated pattern with a fresh set. You want a larger rod diameter, or a digital perm setting calibrated for a loose, elongated S shape rather than a tight spiral. Here's the snapback moment worth sitting with. Tight curls compress visually, which shortens and rounds the silhouette of your whole head. A looser wave elongates it. That elongation does something almost nobody expects. It visually slims the face and softens the jawline, because the eye follows the length of the wave downward instead of stopping at a tight, rounded cluster near your ears. Women tell me their face looks less tired after this change, and it's really just the wave pattern doing the work. There's also a texture bonus. Tight perm curls, refreshed every few months, put real chemical stress on hair that's often already thinner and more fragile than it was at 40. A looser wave requires less frequent processing and puts less strain on the hair shaft, so the hair that's growing out from the new pattern actually comes in healthier, with more shine, because it's not being chemically reset as often. I think about a woman I worked with who'd had the same tight curl since her 50s. She was turning 70 and said, half joking, that she didn't recognize her own head without it. We loosened the pattern gradually over 2 appointments so it wasn't jarring, and by the second one, she was asking why she'd waited so long. Her daughter told her she looked 10 years younger in photos, and nothing else about her had changed that month. Before, tight, uniform perm curls sitting close to the scalp in a compressed, rounded pattern. After, a loose, elongated wave with longer layers, movement dropping down and outward instead of springing tight. Now the next one isn't about curl or shape at all, it's about color, and it might be the single most common mistake on this entire list. Part 3. The flat, uniform gray that drains your face. Nobody warns you about this one because it sounds counterintuitive. Going fully gray isn't the aging mistake. A flat, single-tone gray with zero dimension is the aging mistake. Silver and white hair can look genuinely striking on a mature woman. But when the entire head is one uniform shade with no lighter or darker pieces woven through it, it can flatten your whole complexion, because there's no variation left to catch the light near your face. If you've ever looked in a mirror under bright bathroom lighting, and felt like your whole head looked slightly washed out, this might be exactly why. It's not your skin. It's the absence of tonal variation in the hair sitting closest to it. A lot of women go fully gray specifically to simplify their routine, and I understand that completely. The appeal of no more root touch-ups is real. But simplifying the routine and flattening the color are two different things, and you can absolutely have one without the other. The fix is a technique called low lighting, not highlights, lowlights, where a stylist weaves in a few subtly darker, cooler tone pieces throughout the gray, usually a soft charcoal or ash tone that's close enough to the natural gray to stay low maintenance, but different enough to create dimension. The goal isn't to hide the gray. It's to give the gray something to sit against. Ask for tonal lowlights in a cool ash or charcoal, placed for dimension, not coverage. That distinction matters to a colorist. Coverage language tells them you want the gray minimized, while dimension language tells them you want it enhanced with contrast. A handful of lowlights, placed mostly around the face framing pieces and through the crown, is usually enough. This isn't a full color service, and it doesn't need to be redone often, because gray grows out gracefully against lowlights in a way it doesn't against a full dye job. Here's what actually changes once the dimension goes in. Flat, single-tone hair reflects light evenly across the whole surface, which sounds fine until you realize, even also means featureless. Hair with tonal variation catches and scatters light differently across different pieces, and that scattering is what creates the appearance of shine and movement, even on days you haven't styled it much. Women who make this change often say their hair suddenly looks done, even on wash day, because the dimension is doing visual work that styling used to have to do alone. There's a skin tone benefit too, and it's worth naming directly. Cooler lowlights placed near the face can subtly reflect cooler light back up toward the skin, which tends to soften redness and brighten the undertone. Almost like a very gentle color corrector sitting right at your hairline. It's a small technical detail, but it's the difference between gray that ages a face and gray that genuinely elevates one. A friend of mine went fully silver at 63 and loved the low-maintenance freedom of it, but kept saying she felt washed out in photos no matter what makeup she tried. One low-light session later, barely 45 minutes in the chair, and she sent me a selfie the same week saying she finally understood what people meant by gray hair looking expensive. Before, flat, single-tone gray with no tonal variation, evenly colored across the whole head. After, gray with subtle cool-toned lowlights woven through the crown and face framing pieces, creating visible dimension. I'll admit something here. The next mistake on this list is the one I made myself for almost a decade, and I didn't see it until someone else pointed it out to me. Part 4. The overgrown, shapeless layer that's hiding your neckline. This is the one that sneaks up on you, because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens 6 weeks at a time. You get a great layered cut, love it, and then let it grow just a little longer between appointments, over and over, until one day the layers have stretched out into a shapeless, heavy mass with no defined ends anywhere. The surprising part is how much of the aging effect comes specifically from what this does around your neck and jawline. Overgrown layers tend to fall heaviest right at the collarbone or shoulder, which visually shortens your neck and adds weight right where you least want it, blurring the jawline instead of framing it. If you've been stretching your appointments longer than you probably should, you're not alone, and it's usually not laziness. It's often a quiet fear that a fresh cut will feel like too much or too dramatic a change. So the growing out becomes the default, and the shapelessness creeps in slowly enough that you stop noticing it in the mirror. The fix is a fresh set of face framing layers cut specifically to hit just above the collarbone, with the shortest layer landing around the chin or jaw, creating a visible taper instead of one heavy mass. This isn't about going shorter overall necessarily, it's about reintroducing shape, so the ends taper instead of just stopping in a flat, heavy line. Ask your stylist for face framing layers with the shortest piece at the jaw, tapering back into the length. That phrasing tells them exactly where you want the shape to start, and it protects you from an overly conservative trim that leaves the overgrown mass mostly intact. This is a case where you genuinely need pieces cut shorter, not just cleaned up at the ends. Here's the result that actually matters. Once the weight lifts off your neck and shoulders, your neck reads longer immediately, and your jawline gets a clean line to sit against instead of disappearing under a heavy curtain of hair. This is one of the fastest, most visible changes on this entire list, because it happens the moment you leave the salon chair. No color processing time, no growing out period, just an immediate shift in proportion. There's a styling ease payoff too. Shapeless, overgrown hair is notoriously hard to style, because there's no defined layer to build volume or movement around. It just sits there, heavy and flat, no matter what product you use. Once face framing layers are back in, blow drying and styling take noticeably less time, because the layers are doing structural work that used to require 10 extra minutes with a round brush every single morning. I remember a client who'd gone almost 8 months without a real cut, just trims here and there. When we finally reintroduced proper face framing layers, she actually gasped a little at how much longer her neck looked in the mirror. She said she felt like she'd had some kind of procedure, and all we'd done was cut hair. Before, overgrown, shapeless layers falling in one heavy mass at the collarbone, weighing down the neck and jawline. After, fresh face framing layers with the shortest piece at the jaw, tapering the shape back and lifting weight off the neck. One more to go, and it's the one that has almost nothing to do with cut or color. It's about the one thing most of us do to our hair every single morning without thinking twice. Part 5. The severe center part pulling your whole face down. This last one has nothing to do with length, curl, or color. It's about a habit, and it's one almost every woman falls into without ever questioning it. A severe, ruler straight center part, worn the exact same way every single day for years, can visually pull the whole face downward, because it creates a hard vertical line splitting your face into two equal, static halves with nothing to soften it. You've probably worn your part the same way since you were in your 20s or 30s, and there's a real comfort in that consistency. But a hard center part that made sense on a younger face with tighter skin and higher natural volume can start working against a more mature face, where it emphasizes symmetry in a way that reads as rigid rather than balanced. The recognition here can feel oddly personal, because your part has probably never felt like a style choice. It's just always been there, unquestioned, part of getting ready in the morning without a second thought. The fix is a soft, deep side part, angled just off-center, which breaks that hard vertical line, and instead creates a diagonal sweep that lifts one side of the hair away from the face. This isn't a dramatic side-swept bang situation. It's simply moving the part 2 to 3 inches off-center, and letting the heavier side fall naturally. Ask your stylist to help you find your natural fall, by parting your damp hair with your fingers rather than a comb, letting it settle where it wants to go. That's usually your most flattering deep side part, and it's often different from where you've been parting it out of habit for decades. Once you find it, a light directional blow-dry, brushing the roots up and over from the deep side toward the crown, sets the volume in that new direction. Here's the part that surprises almost everyone who tries it. A deep side part doesn't just change your hairstyle, it visually rebalances your entire face. That diagonal line draws the eye up and across instead of straight down the center, which softens whatever asymmetry naturally exists in every face, because no face is perfectly symmetrical. And a severe center part was quietly highlighting that instead of working with it. A side part, by contrast, uses that natural asymmetry to create movement and lift. There's also a volume benefit that has nothing to do with product. A center part naturally flattens hair against the scalp on both sides evenly, because gravity pulls both halves down at the same rate. A deep side part lets the heavier side build real height at the root before it falls, which is where most women lose volume first as hair thins with age. You're not adding a single new product, you're just letting gravity work in your favor instead of against you. I worked with a woman in her early 70s who told me, almost sheepishly, that she'd worn the exact same center part since her wedding photos in 1975. We moved it 2 inches over, angled the drying pattern to build root lift on the heavier side, and she stood in front of the mirror for a solid minute just turning her head side to side. She said it was the first time in years her hair had looked like it was doing something, instead of just hanging there. Before, a severe ruler straight center part worn flat and static, splitting the face into two equal halves. After, a soft, deep side part angled off-center, with lifted root volume and a diagonal sweep across the face. Look back at those 5 and you'll notice something. Not one of them required more length, more color, or more product. Just a different shape, a different tone, a different part, done with intention instead of habit. That's the whole secret behind every "she looks amazing" comment you've ever heard about another woman's hair. Which one of these 5 is sitting on your head right now? The helmet bob, the tight perm, the flat gray, the overgrown layers, or the center part? Tell me in the comments, I read every one. Next week I'm breaking down the skincare habits that are quietly aging your hands faster than your face. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.